In New Haven, Connecticut, a young girl is murdered in a parking garage.
There was the body of a white female lying in a fetal position at the base of the stairs.
But the killing goes unsolved for 3 decades. Can Dr. Lee find the key to cracking this cold case? 21-year-old Penny Serra was found stabbed to death on the roof of a New Haven garage. Over the years, suspects had been arrested and then released for lack of evidence. The case had gone cold when the victim's father asked Dr. Henry Lee for help. The first thing Dr. Lee did was to retrace the steps of the initial investigation. After analyzing the original crime scene photos and reports, Dr. Lee and his colleagues went through the garage level by level, reconstructing the events of that summer afternoon. His team started on the rooftop of the 10-story garage where Penny Serra's body was found, 2 floors above her carelessly parked car.
63, this vehicle belongs to Penny Serra's father. Blood smear was found on the handle.
The killer abandoned Penny's car and took off on foot through 3 floors of garage, leaving a trail of his own blood.
Yeah, when you look back, the distance between each drop, also a little staggering. It's nothing a straight line. Here, look at that. That's where the handkerchief police found was.
Right, the blood stain and the other substances that were eventually identified.
Those other substances on the handkerchief proved to be grease stains and primer paint, leading police to speculate that the killer worked in an auto body shop.
This tragedy happened in a short period of time. He already inside the garage. The suspect, somehow he got into her car.
Police believed Penny Serra had a knife in her car, more than likely for self-protection. As she struggled with her assailant, he was cut on his left hand, and Penny saw her chance to make a run for it.
Penny probably sees a moment opportunity, run out of the vehicle. Got to the staircase. He followed. She's running to the dead end because that staircase goes nowhere. He stabbed her once, took the knife, and left the scene.
The assailant started to run, dripping blood from a severe slash on his hand. The trail of blood stopped abruptly where Penny's car was parked, on level 9.
As he speeded away, he grabbed a tissue box in the backseat. He grabbed his handkerchief, anything to stop the bleeding. He goes down to level 8 and bring the car to the house and continue on foot, looking for his own vehicle, bleeding from his left hand. He goes down to level 7, take a wrong turn, confused, lost. He take the ramp down to the level 6, the stair to level 5, then back up the stair again, 2 floors to level 7. Finally, he sees his own vehicle, and we're racing towards it. He dropped his bloody handkerchief. He got in the car and makes his getaway.
Dr. Lee knew 2 pieces of evidence could lead back to the killer: the bloody handkerchief and the tissue box. Dr. Lee's team now had new tools that could help them match the fingerprint to a suspect. Fingerprints could now be chemically enhanced, and an automated fingerprint identification system known as AFIS could search thousands of prints simultaneously and locate the top 10 matches. Dr. Lee turned to his next piece of evidence: the bloody handkerchief. DNA testing hadn't been available at the time of Penny's murder. Now it was. Dr. Lee found just enough biological material for testing, and a genetic profile of the killer was extracted. In the late 90s, police in nearby Waterbury responded to a call from a woman who said she'd been beaten by her husband. The man was taken downtown and booked, but his wife dropped the charges and police released him. But not before they'd taken his fingerprints, which eventually made their way into the state's AFIS system.
So I examined the fingerprint, and a suspect's fingerprint, I concur with their opinion.
The suspect, who had eluded police for decades, was Edward Grant. And, as the handkerchief on the garage floor suggested, Edward Grant worked as an auto body mechanic. Grant's blood was sent to Dr. Lee's lab for DNA analysis. Like the fingerprint, it was a perfect match for the blood found at the crime scene. the now 56-year-old Edward Grant was arrested for the murder of Penny Serra. Prosecutor Jim Clark realized that presenting the decades-old physical evidence would be a complicated task.
You had a crime scene which was spread out, and you had a body in one location, and you had your evidence in another location, and you had your evidence separated from other evidence. And while the connection might have been logical, it's not one that is necessarily easy to draw.
The prosecution turned to Dr. Lee to present the complex forensic evidence to the jury.
As an investigator, you look for people, the motive. But physical evidence say that's his fingerprint. Physical evidence say that's his DNA.
Edward Grant was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to 20 years to life.
Our job and responsibility is present all the scientific fact in the most simple way to the jury. Let the jury make the decision.